Okay, let's start with you. Can you introduce yourselves to our listeners?
Sure. I'm Alister Yoong, professional racing driver. I'm 22 years old and I'm currently a Proton R3 factory driver.
Okay. So, growing up as the son of a former Formula One driver, Alex Yoong, how does your father's career influence your interest in motorsports?
Well, yeah, I mean, my dad did a lot in the sport. Obviously, he still is doing quite a lot in the sport. So he definitely influenced me a lot. Uh, Probably not initially when I was younger, but when I got a bit older, because I wasn't born during that F1 period. When he was winning Audi Cup in Asia, I was able to follow a bit more, and that's really when I fell in love with it. And then it was just a bit of a snowball effect from go-karting, Formula 4, F3 and onwards.
So, what age did you really start getting into racing or like karting, let's say?
What age? I'd say 13, 14. 14 semi-professionally in X30 Asia and Rotax, which are karting championships. Not too different to what you can get in rentals as well, but a bit quicker for sure. Um, and then when I was 15, I made the step up to F4, which was pretty quick at that time because it was 2 years after my go-karting. But yeah, I found more success in cars surprisingly than go-karts, probably because I was a bit taller, a bit more wind resistant. So yeah, it helped me out moving up.
So, starting racing at the age of 13 is a bit later than what usually is seen in professional drivers. What really motivated you to start at that point, and how did you catch up with everyone at that point?
That's a good question, actually. It was a lot of catching up. The good thing about the difference between karts and cars is that it's actually pretty different. In a go-kart, it's just a chassis. There's no suspension, no gears for when I was driving. You can move up to DD2 and shifters, which have 2 and 6 gears. But I never really got into that stage of karting in my karting career. So going up to cars with suspension, multiple gears, much bigger tracks, a lot more time over a lap. I think it helped me out. And especially because I was a bit of a heavier driver, um, it made less of a difference in cars compared to go-karts. As for what made me get into it at 13 a bit later, just fell in love with it a bit late, I think.
Yeah, so you've done karting, Formula 4, and other sport racing events. So, what has been the toughest transition among all of these different types of racing? Because I'm sure it might have been difficult to get adjusted to the different car, the different way of driving of the car, and the different handling of the car on track.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor. Car differences and driving style that you have to alter to get there. But as a professional, or at that time an aspiring professional, it was just your job. You know, you sink or swim, got to make the most of it. Track time's expensive. Sponsors are paying for it. You can't afford to take your time and get comfortable. Um, so it was just I had to or stop basically. Um, so yeah, you just got to get to grips with it and try your best. So there was one more part of that question that I missed. What was that?
Oh, no, so it was basically like, so what was the toughest part of the transition? Because, like I said, the car might be different if you change from, well, let's say
Yeah,
from
yeah.
karting to F4, it is a completely different thing.
Toughest part was definitely competition. Competition always gets harder as you move up. 100%. Uh, Even when I went down back into F4 in 2022, it was after a 3 year break and I was out of international racing, but I came to that grid one practice session and one quali session, and I was up against guys like Kimi Antonelli, Oliver Wirtz. There were, I think, 3 or 4 F4 champions when we went to the Motorsport Games, which was kind of like the racing Olympics, you could say. So yeah, competition is definitely the hardest bit about racing, but it's also one of the best things because one thing my dad would say was champions live for competition, not status. Um, and that means you're just hunting against trying to be the best you can and prove yourself to be as good as you can against the best as well. You just want to race against hard difficulty because that's when you really get the most satisfaction.
So in 2022, you won the Indian Racing League. Can you share your experience competing in this league and what difficulties you faced and what this achievement means for you?
Oh, it was a heck of a few weeks in India, actually. I was a super late substitution. Unfortunately, someone got injured and I stepped in the day of qualifying. So I flew in, took part in qualifying. I think I started second for my race, finished second, which was mega because we definitely didn't anticipate that. It was the only thing I raced other than the Motorsport games that year. And again, the competition was mega. We had guys like Neo Yanni, who's a Le Mans 24-hour winner, won the World Endurance Championship a few times. Oliver Webb, John Lancaster, Ralph Hyman, who's in Super Formula. John Lancaster did GP2. So it was really good competition, but yeah, it was a lot of emotion. Managed to get away with the championship. It was very intense, but yeah, definitely allowed me to continue my career up until this point so far.
Okay, so I I've heard about the fact that a lot of race drivers they tend to practice on a simulator before actually going
Yeah.
and doing it on like the track because like you said, track time is expensive. So is it really the same as real life? Is the simulator world catching up to real life now?
Yeah, I mean, simulator is the best way to get track time without being at the track. Percentage wise, I'd say maybe 75 to 80 in terms of technique, how you use the pedals, how you turn the wheel, even how the cars react to damage and engine issues, gearbox issues. So it's incredibly realistic and it's always evolving, even more so now with all this AI stuff and with computers getting more advanced. We did the virtual Le Mans in 2020, I think, or 2021, and that was incredible because you're playing a video game, or at that point it felt like a video game, but you could see Max Verstappen was over there, Fernando Alonso was over there. Oh, is that Charles Leclerc behind me? What is happening? What's going on? How am I racing against these guys? I'm in Malaysia right now. So yeah, I really do love the sim. In fact, I know a few guys that I've been training with and my teammates on the sim who are now national champions in Malaysia and who are really, really good drivers. So it's 100% transferable. We've also seen in the real life guys going to FIA F3 or Brecca and doing well as well, from the sim, guys like Cooper Webster. So yeah, it's
Okay,
pretty
so
cool.
oh yeah, so 2023 Sports Prototype Championship victory with 4 wins is simply incredible. Can you walk us through that session and walk us through that season and what do you think made you so invincible in the thing?
Yeah, I mean, Europe was cool. It was my first year and 2 years properly going racing in Europe, and it went pretty well. Okay, competition wasn't the highest in comparison to motorsport games or even Indian Racing League, but it was still guys who've been racing the same tracks for the last 15 years, 10 years. So it wasn't like it was a breeze. So yeah, it was very nice feeling winning over there, standing up on podiums at Le Mans actually, and hearing Nagaraku or Monza, Mugello. So yeah, it was mega. The French side was a bit easier than the Italian racing, but nevertheless, wins are wins, and they always feel great. And it definitely kept me motivated throughout that year, away from home, away from all my friends, all my family. So yeah, kept me going.
Okay. So beyond your racing, you're the head coach at Axel Academy, training upcoming racers. What inspired you to take this role, and how do you balance coaching and your own racing?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually my dad's idea to start coaching, and it was a really good one because you really learn a lot about what not to do when you see a lot of other people do things that you're not meant to do. Um, and also you also get better trying to teach people to do the right things. So I got into that through my dad. He created a Axle Academy, which was a simulator kind of company. Created events online in Asia, training young kids, guys in their 20s or 30s as well. The great thing about sim is that it's open to all ages as long as you work hard and you're really passionate and obsessed by it, you can keep going. Um, and then yeah, so coaching from there. Now I'm working with Formula 4 teams, Formula 3 teams to try and help young drivers as much as I can. It's a good feeling as well, coaching guys like that, because at an extent it's nice, it's nice seeing people you teach do well.
Yeah. So how
But
did
it's
you
something I didn't
balance
quite
racing and
understand.
coaching?
How do I balance it? It's not too different. It's not like balancing school. Balancing school is a lot harder because I was away from the track. But if you're coaching, you're still at the racetrack. You're still surrounded by all these people you know. Racing's a small world, so you could still be in it quite a lot. It wasn't too hard at all.
Do you see any difference in the current generation's racing and the old generation's racing?
Mm, I think the older generation was probably a bit less prepared because of simulators. They weren't as advanced. I know my dad told me he would have never used them in F1, and if he did, he would have probably improved a lot quicker or been able to figure out things a lot quicker. Um, and I guess that's the real difference, as well as everything being so accessible online. Like there's so many things you can read, so many videos you can watch and improve as a driver that way. So in terms of gaining knowledge, it's a lot easier now.
Yeah, so you mentioned that balancing school and racing was pretty hard. We actually had another conversation with a driver who's actually an alumni from our school. I don't know if you've heard of him, Rishabh Jain. He's in F4, I think, currently. So
Did
he
he do
also,
F4 India?
I don't really remember,
Ah, sorry
but
up then.
yeah. So he was also saying that he had issues balancing studies with his racing career because he was at the same time as his university. Actually, currently also, I think he's still in university or something. So yeah, just want to know because we as students also need to we are doing this event F1 in schools alongside our school, and this is like almost the penultimate year of our studies, board exams, like the final exams are on the door. So how did you really manage all of it together?
I'm probably not the best example. First of all, after high school, I got a scholarship at Sunway College, but COVID hit in my second semester, I think, and I had the option to be, doing online school for the next unforeseen because we were all indoors during that pandemic. Or I could have been shipped off to the UAE and become a mechanic and coach drivers and just work around cars as much as I can. So that 3 year gap, that was actually from COVID, and I went to do tire mechanicking. I basically worked the worst job or the only job I could get, not being a driver, which was awesome because it taught me a lot about being a team player and how a team dynamic works, which I'm very thankful for. Um, Definitely gave me a bit more of an appreciation as well. But it's simple, right? I know guys who've done engineering degrees and been a world-class driver, and it's just hard work. If it was easy, everyone would do it. I'm sure you guys are very passionate about the sport, otherwise you wouldn't be chasing it now, right? But yeah, just keep with it, keep working, and it should be all right. Hard work really does pay off, as cliche as it sounds.
So you mentioned a 3-year break before coming back in 2022. What, how did you stay motivated during that time, and what motivated you to come back?
Mm, there wasn't a lot of motivation, I'll be honest. There was almost zero. The thing that drove me was obsession, um, probably to a degree an unhealthy passion. I did not want to give it up. I didn't see me doing anything else. I didn't want to even think about a plan B or an option for a plan B. So yeah, it was. I knew how to stay around cars. I knew how to stay around the right people. Any opportunity presented, you grabbed with two hands and tried to hold on as long as you could. And I just managed to stick through it and got my lucky breaks when COVID was ending in 2022 with Motorsport Games and Indian Racing Week.
We all know that racing is physically and mentally demanding. So, how
Mm.
did you physically and mentally prepare yourself for the race weekends?
It's changed a lot. I used to do music, which I really wouldn't do anymore. It was really silly of me, but I know it works for some people. It's all about finding what works for you. Um, Probably a lot of the older generation guys would disagree with me, but I really do believe you got to find what works with you. Um, Fitness wise, I was really active in school. I was playing basketball, football. I was on the athletics team, so I was doing that almost every day of the week. On the days I wasn't doing anything, I'd be in the gym or running to keep up the fitness. And definitely go-karting helped, surprisingly. Even though it's not like a Formula car, because you're on the corners for a lot shorter time periods, you feel the G's a lot quicker and a lot harder actually because you're a lot lighter. So that helped as well.
Okay, so you mentioned about a song. So, did you play the song or used to listen to the song?
I used to listen to music, but I don't anymore. I think I used to
So what
listen
was your
to
most favorite song during that time?
probably something by Eminem or maybe "Won't Back Down" by Tom Petty or something silly like that.
So, I heard that you're now a works driver for Proton and racing in Sempang 1000 kilometers. So, what do you hope to achieve in this new stage of your career?
Yeah, it's quite exciting. I mean, we're still waiting for what happens this year in 2025, but last year did the first race with the team, um, which was huge because Proton is such a big brand in Malaysia, Singapore as well, a little bit, I think. Um, so it was a very proud feeling. It was nice to be around the team and work with them the whole time. So yeah, it was great. It was really great. We didn't quite come away with a podium or a win, but we went through all the setbacks. We had a couple car issues. We managed to go from pretty much dead last to fifth. It was grueling. It was difficult, but made good friendships and bonds, and can't wait to go racing this season.
So you have expressed a goal of becoming a world champion before the age of 30. What steps are you taking to achieve this, and what challenges do you anticipate along the way?
Well, number one thing, as you guys will be finding out, is finding sponsors. Um, I wish you guys all the best. Let me know if you have anyone who's interested in sponsoring a young racing driver from Malaysia. But yeah, I need to be racing in Europe uh, again this year at some point, next year as well, up until 2033, ideally. But not just Europe, to be a world champion, you'd be racing in all the continents. So I hope to eventually make it to the States. Both north and south, and racing in high categories as well, ideally. I think it's coming slowly. It takes patience, unfortunately. I'm not very good with patience, but if anything's taught me over the last 5 years, is that a lot can happen in a short amount of time.
Okay, so like you said, getting sponsors is one of the hardest parts. That is actually what we've been seeing for a long time now. Even in nationals, we had issues with that. Even though we were able to get do pretty well in nationals, now World Finals is a different ballgame. People are getting sponsors like McLaren, Audi, Mercedes, and like that's like it seemed intimidating at first. So we also had the same question for Rishabh Jain before, and he also told us about how hard it gets to get sponsors. So what exactly do you like? What is your approach of what would you say tell someone if they were looking at getting a sponsorship from someone?
Well, you need a good plan. Obviously, you guys have your objectives of what you want to achieve, so make that very clear. Show the work you've done. Sponsorship decks help. I'm sure you've made a few of those. Profiles as well. Each of the team members get them invested in you basically, and the goal. Um, and then after you've done everything you can and you think everything looks perfect, do a little bit more, and it's just a numbers game after that. You might email 1,000 people, you might get 100 replies, you might get 10 that are interested, you might get 3 that say yes. You got to be okay with rejection. It really sucks. I totally understand that. But just keep going and get a bit creative, you know. Like these guys getting McLaren and Audi sponsorships or whatever, you might be able to as well. But instead of going to like Audi Germany, walk down to your local dealership, or even secondhand cars dealership. Maybe there's a Thai guy around the corner from you that you might know, or your parents take your cars to, or you might take your car to. So yeah, just get creative.
So if you could race on any car on any track in the world, what would your dream combination be?
Ooh. Well, I'd go with Nürburgring Nordschleife for the track because it's the longest one, so I'd really get the most out of that lap. Car. I don't want to be boring and pick an F1 car. Although my dad's F1 car would be pretty cool. That'd be a dream come true. But no, I'll go with like a mm, oh, it's tricky. Oh man, what car? You know that the Porsche LMP1 Evo that they did, the unrestricted one that ran at the Nordschleife and Spa. Yeah, so the guy in Indian Racing League, Neil Yanni, he was the one who did those laps, and he told me it was the best car he ever drove. So I'll go with that.
That's actually an incredible choice. I've read about the car. It seems almost unnatural because to see when engineers get the freedom to do anything they want, it just
Yeah,
miracles can happen.
yeah, and it's really impressive how quick those cars can go because they're so low drag. You know, the Le Mans cars that cover the wheels, and oh, yeah, you watch that lap again on YouTube, and it looks like it's fast forward, but it's not surprisingly.
Okay, I
Okay,
think
so do you have any suggestions for our listeners out here, like on racing, who wants to like pursue racing? Do you have any advice for them?
Well, probably not the guy to give advice, to be honest. Set your goals, do everything with intention. Um, Treat everyone with kindness and be nice because racing really is a small world. No one needs to make enemies or, you know, be rude. So always remember your manners and yeah, get obsessed, embrace it, work hard, keep at it, and don't worry if it goes wrong. Because you can be a hero one day, you can be zero the next, and then hero again the next. So it's really when people say anything happens in motorsport, anything happens.
Okay.
I think that's all
All
from
good.
us. Ritik, do you have any other questions?
No, I mean,
From my
when's
side.
your race?
Oh, our race, I think we haven't got the confirmation dates yet, but it'll be in the month of September, October, November.
Oh, okay. And is it it's not like a straight line, right? It's the actual
No, it's
circuit.
one
Is
straight
this
No,
line.
no, it's a straight line. So basically the
I think I've
cars
seen
are
these with
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
a reaction
with the
test.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If you
So
guys in Malaysia or something, maybe I'll come check it out.
actually it might happen in Singapore this year.
Okay. I wouldn't mind going down. Got a few
Yeah, so we can
teammates
give
over
you
there.
passes if you want.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. Hit me with the details. Email. You got my email now, so yeah, let me
Yeah.
know.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So, do you also know, one second, we're having an interview tomorrow also in Nouris Ghafoor. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correct.
Yeah, Norris.
Do you have
Super
any
cool
like
guy. Super cool guy.
suggestions, any suggestions or questions we can ask him?
Oh God. Ask him about his haircut, how much he paid for it, and ask him when he's going to be quicker than Nikhil. Bora.
Okay,
I'm not sure if you
sure.
know who that is, but it's his good friend.
Thank you so much.
No worries, guys.
Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
joining.
Good night.
All good.
Good